Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Printing. I'm your host, Zach Dewhurst, the Business Development Manager at Deconetwork. I also happen to be a shop owner myself. I started my business Print Phase all the way back in 2009, which revolves around screen print and DTF heat transfers. In all my years in the decoration industry, I have started to see a little bit of a shift, and that we're seeing more and more businesses get started without buying any equipment, in which they are outsourcing all of their orders to contract decorators. And today, we're thrilled to have Devyn and Adryan Lado, the Lado Brothers, from Garment Decor, a company they founded themselves when they were straight out of high school. These guys are rock stars. I mean, in 15 years, they now have 5 autos and are looking to add another. The Lado Brothers are doing all of this out of California, not that far from Los Angeles. So don't let anybody tell you, hey, you can't run a print shop out of California. These guys are not only doing it, they're doing it extremely successfully, and they're offering contract decorating, which again is a little bit of a head scratcher for a lot, because when we think contract decorating, we think somebody's printing at a super low price. And we're thrilled to have the brothers here today because they really break down what contract printing is and the misconception that it means that somebody's decorating at a really low price. They go way beyond that. But before we can start talking about contract decorating and why everybody's into outsourcing screen printing and embroidery orders, we need to acknowledge our awesome sponsor, Deconetwork, the all-in-one print shop management software. So, unlike Deconetwork's competitors, we are a true all-in-one, which means you don't need to be paying for multiple software subscriptions to have a back-end management system and front-end websites. Deconetwork is an all-in-one, is both websites that you provide to clients, websites that you use yourself with an online design tool for custom quotes and orders, and again, a back-end management system where all the orders flow into. You can create quotes from scratch and where you store all of your customer profiles so you can look back on them. Deconetwork, the all-in-one shop management software that you need to manage your business. Visit deconetwork.com today to request your free demo. Now, let's get back to the show. How's it going, guys?
It's going well, Zach.
That's what you get when you have twins on a call. They are always on the same wavelength.
I was gonna, as you did that introduction, I was gonna wait like 3 seconds to let Adrian go first. But I was like, this sounds better if we say it at the same time.
Who's older?
I'm 1 minute older, but we always say my brother Devyn hit maturity first. So my brother Devyn shows a lot of signs of being older, but I'm 1 minute older.
Oh man, but again, you guys are definitely on the same page. We visited your shop last month, and very impressive operation, especially when you consider where you guys are doing it. You're in California, where it's a lot more expensive to be running a larger operation, but it's not impossible. You definitely are proving that. One thing that I saw very recently is Deconetwork's main competitor is Printavo, and they have their own podcast called Print Hustlers. It's very well done, hosted by Bruce, the founder of Printavo. And one of the best episodes I saw they recently released was with a print shop owner located in California who essentially had to file for bankruptcy because his costs got so high. And one of the things he was doing was contract decorating. And you guys are proving you can contract decorate in the state of California. You need to be running a tight ship and be as efficient as possible, probably using, better software than Deco's competitors, because you guys have been on Deconetwork for several years now. But let's start off with, let's define what is contract decorating. I'm constantly asked in this by new shops entering the industry, if you were to start today, what equipment would you buy? And my answer always is, I wouldn't probably go beyond a heat press. And even that, I may not even do. It is way too easy nowadays to outsource jobs, customers do not care if you're the one pulling the squeegee or not. They really don't care. Has nothing to do with it. And when you focus less on having to do the production yourself, you're able to really focus on what matters, and that is selling. If you don't have sales coming in, you don't have orders to produce, so it doesn't really matter. So let's start with define contract decorating for us.
Yeah, so for me, contract decorating is taking the position of offering the service of logo decoration specifically, such as offering the service of screen printing to that end customer or offering the service of embroidery only directly to that end customer. And so for me, contract decorating is just offering the service of and not really accompanying it with the physical product. So the ideal scenario would be to sell that hat and then sell that embroidery, pair it together and sell that product. But contract decorating is, for me, is you don't have the chance to sell that product. You're just selling that service. Devyn, what's your stance on it?
Basically, contract decorating is an industry professional that sells custom merchandise without the one that actually does the imprinting or the screen printing or the embroidery. So a contract, basically a contract decorator specializes in the embroidery aspect, and then there are contract professionals that go out and sell it. And when you have the salesperson and you pair that with the decorator, you can ultimately sell the product without actually having to do the work.
Yeah, and again, that's where I see the industry going more towards. There's several reasons why. I always scratch my head. I help a lot of new users get started with Deconetwork, and I see some shops price, a decoration process for pennies, and I wonder, how do you make money? And then I see another shop charge a lot more. Contract is essentially a wholesale price. I mean, it's a really good price that you offer to a contract client. You can't come to Garment Decor once a year necessarily, typically, and say, I want contract pricing. Yeah, that's just not how it works. And let's back up even further. This is not for retail customers. This is not a local business, local auto mechanic shop. They don't get contract pricing. Everybody gets retail, whether it's B2B, B2C. Contract is when you're working with another professional business in the decoration industry. So typically, these are either other shops who own equipment, but the job is outside of their comfort zone, or they don't have the equipment to handle that. So maybe I'm a DTF printer and I want to offer screen printing and embroidery to my customers, but I don't want to buy the equipment. I could partner with Garment Decor and do that. And just like you guys said, typically when we're doing contract decorating, the person outsourcing the order is actually going to typically ship the blanks to the decorator because they don't want to give up any margin there. So you as contract decorators are really only charging for the actual decoration portion. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, and the essence of the word contract decoration is you're selling the service. So you really can only offer the screen printing and embroidery specifically without the product, is my definition of contract decoration.
And like you said there, a contract relationship is when two professionals in the same industry, for example, a DTF supplier, they'll contact Garment Decor for the screen printing service, maybe perhaps because they might not be able to do it in-house, but they still want to be able to sell the T-shirts to their customers. So they'll contact a contract decorator like ourselves that will do the screen printing at a wholesale price in order for the DTF business to resell it and make a margin there.
So let's talk about, you're doing it at a much cheaper price. Not only are you doing it for you're lowering at a lower price for decoration than a retail customer, and you're not making money off the blank. So you're making really a lot less compared to if it's your own customer, local person who's where. Now, so why would I go into contract decorating? Well, if they're, again, a professional in the business, that job comes in ready. There is no back and forth and a struggle. They're the ones dealing with the end consumer. They're supposed to know all the lingo in the industry. They give you artwork that is ready to go. There's just not that ambiguity. So again, the only way you guys can be profitable with contract is you cannot be jumping through a bunch of hoops, right? It has to be as turnkey and quick as possible to get that job complete, because your client in this case is not, as difficult as your retail customer.
Yeah, so pretty much when we work with our contract customers, they're giving us a PO. They're submitting an order. They're giving us the size breakdown, the artwork, what size they want the artwork, what color inks they want. They're shipping in the blanks, giving us tracking. So they're packaging up their order and making it as seamless and easy as possible for us, the contract decorators, to be able to fulfill their order. And so the contract customers do have a bit of work to do in packaging up all of that information. But by packaging up all of that information and making it easy for us, the contract decorator, in return, they get better prices.
And look, also what my brother said, generally, a contract customer of ours is packaging up the information, so they're eliminating a bulk of the customer service work required to genuinely service a custom order. And they take the hat of being the outside sales rep and then delivering that information to the shop. So from the manufacturer's perspective, they've eliminated a couple of steps in the process, which is ideal for us as a manufacturer because they're acting as the outside sales position. And that has cost and that has value. And in return for them delivering that information, we hope to provide them some competitiveness for alleviating us of some overhead, which is the sales and service. But kind of expanding on that as well, we like to say there's different types of contract decoration services you can offer. And generally, when you speak about contract decoration, a lot of the mindset goes into like the 1 to 3 color imprint range. And a lot of customers, a lot of people think of cheap because they're only thinking of contract for like, that simple 1 to 3 color range. And I like to say in that range of 1 to 4 colors, there's a lot of competition. And you're pretty much competing with the whole bulk of the United States. So at Garment Decor, we say we offer contract decoration services, but we focus on speed of service. Because we notice that in the contract decoration space, speed is extremely valuable. And so we say that's our niche, to be a California contract decoration shop. And we like to promote that we focus on speed. And so when a customer comes to us, it's not for us to do the typical job. It's for us to do anything but super quick within a week or less. And that's how we're able to like optimize value to be a contract decorator, because we're selling speed any project we take on. And then we're able to boost up that cost a little bit, or within a reasonable amount, because the customer knows that everyone benefits because we're delivering projects in a speedy manner. And so I say that's how we focus on being a contract decorator in California, is we focus on speed.
No, and that makes a lot of sense because, especially you just look at Amazon. They have redefined what customers expect, a turnaround time to be, even for a custom made to order product. And I had a great time touring your shop and talking with you guys, even when we were on camera. One of my other favorite shops to talk about, and their owner is Pete Bolsoni at Same Day Tees. And I know you guys are a big fan. You guys are literally Same Day Tees in the West Coast. And again, what does Pete really push? It's quick turnaround. It is very important. And a lot of customers are willing to pay that premium. Rush fees. If you have the equipment and the staff and you can do it, oh my, that's some great money. And Pete always talked about, he sells time. He doesn't sell decorating. He sells time on his equipment. And I always thought that was really interesting. Now, when it comes to contract decorating, as we were kind of talking about there, you have a lot of shops who own their own equipment. And something to always keep in mind, let's use screen print as an example. There's a lot of screen print shops who have a manual press. And if I got a 1,000-piece job and it's 6 colors, I don't want to do that on a manual. No. So if I have an embroidery machine and I have a couple single heads, or I have a 6 head and then I get hit with a 1,000-piece hat order, I don't want to hoop all that. I want to hit up somebody who has the equipment to do it. So one, I think everybody should keep in mind, sometimes you don't want to hold up your own equipment or it's outside of your comfort zone. And then secondly, you have the promotional product industry. And when it comes to promotional products, this is something that we are seeing just explode. And let's redefine what a promotional product is. Anything with a brand, as far as apparel, is pretty much a promo product. So one, we all sell promo products. We just may not look at it that way. We look at hard goods. But when it comes to the hard good world in promo products, you have a few different platforms. You have ASI, you have Sage, you have, like Swag Space and so forth. But these platforms are made up of suppliers and distributors. So let's define this, guys, because I didn't even know this until very recently that this is the lingo. So let's say you're doing no decoration. And let's say you just want to start selling shirts. What most people are doing is they're signing up for an ASI or a Sage, which is a platform with, everything you can imagine. And then it connects you with the suppliers. That would be your suppliers of the blanks and those contract decorators like Garment Decor. So again, if you wanted to get started in this industry and not own any equipment, most people are signing up for ASI or Sage. They're paying a monthly subscription. They then, again, can market their services, which is really them playing the middleman role, and outsource to a shop like Garment Decor. So what are you on both ASI and Sage, and what percentage of your contract orders are coming from those platforms versus another shop bypassing it?
Yeah, so I'll answer that, but I'd like to maybe add a little bit to what you said there. So basically, if you were new to this industry and you were looking to sell promotional products, one of the ways to get started is you would create a distributor account with ASI or Sage. And by doing so, it gives you access to this database of products that you can ultimately sell. So if I was new to this industry and I had a customer that was interested in t-shirts and mugs, I would go to ASI or Sage, and I would have access to this database where I would be able to search up mugs. And I would see thousands of different types of mugs that I could essentially sell to my end customer. And what ASI or Sage does is they give you the price that it will cost you, and then they give you the price that they suggest you sell it for. So they give you both what to sell it to your end customer for, as well as what it will cost you. And they also detail out how much you'll make per item by selling it at the suggested price. So if I was new to this industry, I would start off by creating an account with ASI and Sage so I can browse thousands of products in this database to understand what I need to sell it for, what I can offer, and what it will cost me. And as far as our contract customers, pretty much that's how they're finding us, through ASI and Sage for the most part. If they're looking for custom t-shirts, they're going to go in this database, look up the Gildan 5000, and they'll see us as a vendor of choice within this catalog of products that they can ultimately choose from. And while searching for Garment Decor, for example, or while searching for that Gildan 5000, they'll be able to understand what price they need to sell that t-shirt for, as well as what it will cost them, to ultimately determine what profit they're going to make when they transact that order.
Do you think, if somebody, let's say somebody just bought a new auto press and they're looking to feed it and they want to do contract drops, do you think it's kind of a no-brainer or 100% necessity to join Sage, ASI, at least one of them, as a supplier? Because it sounds like it's kind of your ultimate sales funnel, because there's thousands of distributors looking to outsource these jobs.
It's basically like a market. As a supplier, it's a marketplace. So the more you offer your products and services on different marketplaces, the greater visibility that you have. And so if you're looking to increase visibility, you would want to add your products and services to this marketplace if that was something you were looking to do to expand your business.
Okay. And kind of piggybacking off of this, because I think you guys do it yourselves, shops, do you ever see it as a conflict of interest to do contract and retail?
By the sense of the word, technically there's a conflict. But the reality is like, for example, we service our local churches, we service our local businesses, and so when they step into our warehouse because they're essentially looking for a local print shop to service them, we service them on the retail side, which helps power our business because we are able to service those types of customers that have a greater profit per order. But you ultimately need a balance. You need a balance of contract customers with a little bit of retail in order to power a shop like ours. It can't be 100% contract, but rather a blend of contract and retail is what helps keep the business healthy.
Well, yeah, for us, we say that in the true sense of being a contract decorator, it might be viewed as iffy that you're also looking to sell the product to potential customers. But just the way the industry is now, we think it's important to, if you're in the custom merchandise space, you're trying to sell as many things as possible. And selling things includes selling the service of logo decoration. And you also want to be in the business of selling physical products and selling polos and selling T-shirts and selling headwear items. I have a buddy of mine. He just started his embroidery shop, and for the first maybe 6 months, he focused only on offering embroidery services. And I told him, hey, you're in the business of merchandising. You're not just selling embroidery. You're in the business of selling hats as well. You're in the business of selling solutions that go beyond just decoration services. So for any shops that have maybe one auto, one manual, like my brother said, you're trying to just put visibility out on your shop. And in the contract world, that's just one marketplace. And that's what one sales channel for visibility. But you want to focus on having your company in multiple marketplaces and have multiple channels. And if you don't offer contract decoration services, that's just one channel that maybe you focus on. And there's also other channels that you focus on as well to make the business healthier.
Diversification is always a good strategy. Now, do you think, and again, I completely agree with you. Do you think it would be more of a conflict of interest if you were going beyond local? Let's say you were really trying to attack the whole United States, because at the end of the day, we're in an industry where the demand is only going up. There's a lot more people entering in the industry because of the lower barriers of entry. One of the reasons why the barrier of entry is so low is because I don't have to buy equipment. I hit up Garment Decor, and it's only, you're going to have tons of people entering the industry who don't own any equipment or they own very little, which is a good thing. But yeah, do you see it? If you were trying to go nationally, let's say Custom Ink, they were trying, and I know they use contract decorators, but if they were trying to do retail and contract, would you see that as a bigger conflict of interest?
I think the reality is that in order to grow nationally, you need sales reps. You need a sales force. And what happens is, as a contract decorator, we're a factory. We specialize in producing. We specialize in keeping our machines running. And in order to do that, we need salespeople. But how we go about recruiting salespeople is essentially we look for contract customers. Contract customers are our salespeople. And so our ability to grow our business is dependent upon finding outside salespeople that will go out and sell. But in order for them to be motivated to sell, they need to be able to make money. So by us offering contract prices, it gives the margin for the outside sales rep to be able to go out there and sell. So there's a conflict of interest if we're trying to build a internal sales team to go out and get this. Mm-hmm. But our focus and our agenda here is that we're a factory. We want to create the best merchandise with the fastest turnaround times and offer the most decorating services for outside salespeople to be able to sell. So the more services we offer internally allows our outbound sales reps, it gives them more things to sell, and that's essentially how we grow nationally, or that's how we grow outside of our locals. We essentially recruit outside salespeople, and those outside
we recruit distributor. Like, we view distributors to be partners, and we view distributors to be outside sales reps. And so for us, it's about respect of the distributors that send us work. And so our goal is to acquire new business through different marketplaces, but part of that strategy is also respecting distributors, because distributors are they may not be part of Garment Decor, but they're a partner of Garment Decor. So once we establish doing business with a particular distributor, then it's respect for that distributor, respect to maintain pricing with that distributor, respect for customer privacy with that distributor. Almost all of our distributors, the ones that we do a lot of contract decoration work, the thought is no media, no posting of content for those particular projects. And so we have to respect the distributors that send us work. And that's what makes contract work, because we view it from the manufacturing perspective. All contract customers is our outside sales team selling for us, building relationships for us. And that helps us keep our sales and customer service department to a minimum. So we think it's good.
And we also, because there's also like a distributor does a lot of work. A distributor basically has to manage the relationship with the customer. They have to design the artwork, create the mock-ups, go over product options with them. So the distributors and like our contract customers, they do a lot of work at the forefront before they ever submit the order to us. And so to grow nationally is to get more distributors. It's to offer them better prices. It's to offer them faster turnaround times to allow them to sell easier. And
I think real quickly, Devyn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Zach asked, Zach, you spoke about like what happens if a shop has maybe one automatic or one manual, and they get a machine or they get a job that they're not able to produce in-house. You know, something that I'd want to say is that, or my advice is, for maybe a small shop that might not have the capacity to do large volumes of work, I think what could set up a shop to be successful is if they take the stance of being good at packaging up information into a way that they can send out a package and then email local shops in a manner that, because when we work with distributors, the way they deliver information to us is a sign of how professional they are. And the more professional a distributor is in working with us, they get optimized pricing, they get preferred turnaround times, and they just get it just makes for a better working relationship when a shop's able to package up the information, have the mock-ups, and then request quotes. And so I think it's like a shop that practices good procurement, and I think that's really important. So if you're a shop that has a big order, it's not just about emailing 5 shops around you saying what's pricing. It's more about presenting that order in a concise manner. Here's 1,000 t-shirts. Here's the mock-up. Here's the Pantone colors. Here's the all-work dimension. Here's the product I'll be shipping in. Here's the turnaround time. And I think that's a skill set that smaller shops can practice and work on in order to get good contract pricing with other shops if they're not able to do the work in-house. It's Devyn, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, basically, if a small shop, for example, didn't have the ability to be able to handle a big size order, they could practice outsourcing it. And part of outsourcing is submitting an order to another contract shop in a manner that is organized, easy to understand, that and doing so in a way that prevents back and forth between you and the contract shop.
Like you guys said, it's a partnership. It's the synergy, and again, if you're going to get good pricing, you need to be working the way we need. Now, let's back up, because obviously, you would never steal a client from a distributor sending it to you. Contracts. Are your clients that you do contract decorating for, are they ever signing a contract? Are you ever signing a contract? I won't do this. You're going to give me this. Does that ever come into play?
So no, contracted. Yeah, the simple answer is no. When you contract work for a customer, it's never involves a specific contract. It's more like wordplay and like slang to say, hey, I'm going to offer you wholesale decoration services in exchange for you selling that customer and delivering me an order. So that's kind of like contract is slang for that relationship, but there's really no contract involved. Although maybe there should be, but it's generally not practice.
I mean, yeah, if there's a negotiated price and we want to lock it in, there may be a contract in there.
Well, you establish turnaround time, you establish terms, and you document that into a contract, but it's rarely practice.
It's rarely, yeah.
When a customer asks us, hey, do you offer contract pricing? Basically what they're telling me is that, hey, I plan on sending you jobs that I sell. I plan on shipping you the blanks, and I'm looking for pricing from you where I can turn around and resell it in order for both of us to make money here. And so that's essentially that. I use it like Adryan said. It's more like slang. I'm not even sure how how the word contract came up in our industry without the literal creation of contracts on every order, but it's more of like the terminology within our industry.
And something Adryan said just a few minutes ago that I completely agree with. Most shops, I'm not saying, hey, I've seen a lot of shops that would be very successful that don't practice this, but most shops want to act like a one-stop shop. If you're going to be doing a lot of retail, I have no problem telling my customer no, but if I tell him no, and the guy down the street says yes to that job, and they can do the same things that I said I can do, I'm giving my competition opportunity to steal that business. So now, Adryan, you were talking about a local business does embroidery. And I think we may have even talked about it at the actual, when I visited your shop. It's funny. Somebody will probably come and they'll look at your shop and be like, oh, look at all these. I want to become you. And in the back of your mind is like, you've no idea how hard it was to get to this point, how much investment. I mean, so what I'm, again, seeing is more and more people not buying equipment, especially with, there's two gigantic things that happened in the last 5 years. There's this thing called the pandemic that really showed all of us that at any point, the world can turn upside down. The market can, and it's a struggle, potentially, if I have all this high overhead. So I think since COVID, shops want to be more lean. And then the second thing with COVID is it's harder than ever to find employees who want to work, stay around, and everything else. The mindset of work has completely changed. And then the other thing that happened right around that same time is DTF. And with DTF, we all of a sudden just have to heat press something. And when you compare it to developing screens and aligning those screens and so forth, it's ridiculously simple. So again, I just think between COVID and DTF, people are lazier than ever. And again, your customer doesn't care who does the decorating. So I guess my question there is, do you find it, how important is it for the average shop to be that one-stop shop, even though they're not doing the bulk of the decorating?
So, Devyn, I'll go first. Maybe you share your thoughts. To me, what I think, selling and offering a one-stop shop solution is good because you don't want your potential customer to go to the next shop and then stay at that next shop because they're offering embroidery services that you never work to offer at your location. So I think to the best of your ability, trying to be a one-stop shop is ideal. But I think ultimately from my stance is the most desirable trait that a shop can do that might not have all of the services but wants to be a one-stop shop is just being a professional and being knowledgeable. And so if a particular customer comes to you and requests services that you don't offer, it's about creating them virtual mock-ups. It's about being timely with the response. It's about guiding them in the various product options. It's about working with them one-on-one. It's about offering solutions to them. And so if you're not able to be a one-stop shop and do all of the decoration in-house, the thing that you can do in-house is be the ultimate professional, be an expert at your craft, support your customer with design services, make product recommendations, and build and then guide them along. And then from there, likely the customer will stay with you, and that provides you time to then outsource some of the products and services you're selling to the local competition because your customer wants to work with the professional. And I think that could be the way that a lot of shops grow without doing the work in-house. They focus on being the professional that guides the customer, and then that customer wants to stick with that person due to the professional relationship. So in summary, if you don't offer all of the services in-house, the thing you can focus on is just being a true professional. And then from there, you work on outsourcing behind the scenes. But Devyn, what are your thoughts?
Well, if we're talking about outsourcing and the ability to outsource, the advantage that you have, like if we're saying why outsource and we're talking about outsourcing, the advantage of that concept is that essentially you can sell anything. Whereas as a contract decorator, we can't sell everything. For example, we don't make woven labels. So we're not going to sell a distributor or a customer's woven labels, for example. But when you outsource, you basically become the ultimate salesperson, and you can pretty much sell everything. And so, if the idea is if the idea here is why outsource, well, the beautiful thing with outsourcing is that you can sell everything. And when a customer comes to you, they want lanyards, or they want mugs, or they want T-shirts. When you decide that you're going to outsource everything, you can essentially say yes to everything. And so that's the power of outsourcing, that you can say yes to everything. Whereas if you go and buy that screen printing machine, or if you go and buy that embroidery machine, you almost bog down with selling only the things that you do, and you kind of limit your selling potential. So in 2024, do you need to buy an embroidery machine to sell hats? No, absolutely not. And in fact, you're probably limiting what it is that you sell. In 2024, you want to be able to outsource everything and be able to sell hats, mugs, T-shirts, and lanyards without actually having to do it. It's because the money is made when you sell the order. It's not necessarily made when you produce the order. So if you can garner the skills to be able to find customers and sell customers, that's where the money's made, not necessarily in going to the back of the shop at 8 o'clock at night to be on the embroidery machine that you had just bought to stitch a few hats. It's not necessarily where the money's made.
And what I'm starting to see, again, more and more are wholesale trade partners, especially outside of apparel. So when it comes to apparel, I'd be hitting up a Garment Decor. But two worlds outside of apparel that I was overlooking for a while that are just skyrocketing popular: promo. So again, guys, it's real easy to join ASI, Sage, Swag Space, one of them, and all of a sudden I can sell these hard goods. I don't have to do it in-house. I mean, even Alpha Broder now offers blank hard goods, and they'll decorate them. So you're leaving money on the table if you're not offering promo, because the demand for it's greatly increasing. You tell the customer no, and the competition does it. Yeah. The other is signage. I had no idea how much cheaper it is nowadays to outsource banners, yard signs, and so forth. I was convinced, you know what, I really want to buy my own EcoSolvent printer. I'll tell you what, guys, I wouldn't do that, because when you start to see how much cheaper somebody else can print it because they're doing such volume, it's hard for you to buy it and do it at the same profit. Nobody cares if you do it. At the end of the day, there's really one number that matters. Businesses love to talk about revenue. Who cares about revenue? I care about profit. What did we actually bring home? I don't care if you did $10 million in revenue if you had $975,000 in cost, your expenses. You made $25,000 for the year versus a business doing $200,000 and they profited $100,000. They did better. So, and like you guys said, most of the contract decorators I see, they're very specialized and they're not offering every decoration service under the sun as a one-stop shop. But let's kind of pivot there into that concept, because when I'm looking for, if I was looking for a partner, there's two main decoration processes that are outsourced typically. Let me back up. DTG is absolutely, DTF is absolutely, but for years and years, and what we're really talking about is screen and embroidery. DTF, anybody can heat press. Heat pressing 500 shirts a day is not fun, but hey, it's still, you can do it very easily. Doing that 500 piece or that 5,000 piece job that has 6 colors on a manual, it's just not even feasible. So screen printing and embroidery. How important, and then we're going to talk about digital squeegee, guys, because I think that's a really interesting angle you guys are able to offer. But how important do you think it is, for those who are looking to offer contract decoration services, that you often have both? Because your customer will often come to you and be like, okay, I've got an order, but it's got embroidery and screen printing jobs, and I don't want to be going to 2 different contract decorators. Do you find that to be pretty important? And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to find a screen print contract decorator than an embroidery contract decorator. There's just far fewer. So, do you use that as a selling point that, hey, we do both?
Adryan, you want to answer that one?
Yeah. So naturally at Garment Decor, there's a lot of competition in the screen printing and embroidery space. I probably would say it's not our pitch to say, hey, use Garment Decor because we offer screen printing and embroidery in-house, and that's why you should choose us. Maybe that's a benefit to using Garment Decor and like an advantage, but it's not really part of our pitch. But but our business model is we like to offer speed of service. So more of our pitch at Garment Decor is we offer fast turnaround times on embroidery and screen printing services, because we want customers to think about Garment Decor when it comes to speed. But I don't know if I answered the question, but Devyn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So well, I'd like to maybe take a step back. We don't necessarily. So, for example, if a customer needs DTF from Garment Decor, we also practice what we preach. We outsource that. We don't do DTF in-house because we find. So we started our business 14 years ago, and it was just at that time, there wasn't a whole lot of talk of outsourcing. It almost like the concept was a bit foreign to us at the time. So when we wanted to start selling and making our own T-shirts, it was almost at that time that you had to buy the machine in order to be able to do it. And if you wanted to offer it to customers, you had to do it. And so I feel like nowadays it's picking up steam. It has picked up steam that no, you can just simply outsource it. If you want to sell the job, you can just simply outsource it. So even with DTF, when a customer of ours needs DTF services, we simply will outsource the DTF to a local provider. And we found that local DTF provider, we selected that company of ours to be the preferred supplier of choice based off price, based off turnaround time, and based off the ease of ordering.
Yeah, and location to our facility.
And location to our facility. But I think primarily it's how easy is it to place an order with you, and how quickly can I get it back? And that was like, that's how we kind of determined which supplier to pick. So when a customer wants to order with Garment Decor, it's how easy is it to order with Garment Decor? How fast can I get it back? Is the quality consistent order in on every order? So yes, the repeatability of that. And so while we might do screen printing and embroidery, if we're talking to a new customer, we're not typically pitching them and saying, "Hey, we do screen printing and embroidery," because everybody does that. But we're trying to say that ordering with Garment Decor is super easy. You can just submit an email. Here's our price chart. It's repeatable.
And you get professional support.
And we tell customers we offer when you need it service. So if you need it in 2 days, we'll do it in 2 days. If you need it in 4 days, we'll do it in 4 days. We don't have it this set turnaround time like 2 weeks where anything you place it'll take 2 weeks. We're a bit more flexible. So the same way with our DTF supplier, if we need a job in 3 hours, he'll put it on the machine and get it for us in 3 hours. And if we need the job in 3 days, we'll take your time, get it done in 2 days. There's no rush on this. And so having the flexibility from our DTF supplier allows us to sell that service. And that's in the same manner with our customers. That's what we try to pitch them. We're flexible. We can do it when you need it. You can place your orders with us easy. So it goes a little bit beyond the scope of service of just screen printing and embroidery, but more like, hey, we're flexible. We're going to work with your business model. We're going to make it easy for you to place orders with us. And that's what we're pitching to make it easier for you to outsource your jobs to us.
So it sounds like you're not like making it, a selling point from a competitive advantage, but technically, if I have a job to outsource and it has embroidery and screen print, it will be easier to use one contract decorator than have to go to 2 different parties. So then let's talk about digital squeegee, because like same day tees, as I mentioned earlier, you both have digital squeegee presses, which are not cheap, and they allow you to do some really cool stuff. So for those who don't know, digital squeegee is essentially an automatic screen press with essentially a DTG print head station on one of the stations. So we print a white underbase, and then we can CMYK over that white underbase to get a full color print. We can also do other spot color hits, and we can kind of treat that machine as if it's just a normal auto. I don't have to use the digital squeegee portion. But how has that really helped you from a contract decorator standpoint? Again, it may not be the number one selling point, but you kind of have that flexibility and the ability to cut a job down from, hey, we could do this the old school way, and it could be 8 colors. Or we could do this, and it's going to be cheaper because we're using this hybrid digital method, and we have this equipment that's pretty rare in the industry.
Yeah. From a marketing perspective, the digital squeegee separates us. So where there might be hundreds of screen print shops, there's less than a handful that have the digital squeegee. So from a marketing perspective, there's an advantage to having the digital squeegee to be able to say, we offer the most affordable way to print full color t-shirts in bulk. It's an attractive service for existing DTG print shops. It's an attractive service for existing DTF print shops, where if they have an order of 1,000 shirts and it doesn't necessarily make sense to do that with a DTG machine, they can outsource that to a shop like ours with a digital squeegee.
Sorry to interrupt you, but have you seen, because of DTG and now DTF, have you seen a higher demand going from, like 15 years ago? A lot of stuff seemed, it's 1-2 color spot hit. Now it seems like those days are fewer. Customers nowadays want more colors in the artwork. Is that a true statement? Because of these other digital processes, they've been told, yeah, we can do it because it's going to be CMYK, but then they want a 1,000-piece job and they want it to be cheaper. So have you just seen the demand for this type of artwork increase over the past 14 years?
I'll work on answering that, Devyn, and then you go next. But in my opinion, the rise of DTF and DTG brings lots of benefits to the digital squeegee. And we think that the rise of DTF has actually pushed a lot of business towards us for digital screen print work because it opens up this lane, this clear lane. And the clear lane for digital screen printing is producing full color graphics in full size at higher quantities, so quantities above 100 units. The digital squeegee clearly wins on pricing, quality, the touch, and it just wins on everything. And so now with all of the shops offering DTF, the moment they run into that hurdle of large volume, large graphic, full color, they just come running to the digital screen. They come running to the digital squeegee because it's a clear winner. And even for us, we offer DTF on like when we need to tackle a job on smaller quantities, but we will for sure use the digital squeegee to tackle that higher quantity project. And all of the DTF shops that utilize us, other screen print shops, other distributors, they come needing the digital squeegee due to its ability to do full color graphics cheaper than DTF and DTG. So DTF's helped us because that shop using DTF clearly knows the digital screen print process produces that job in a more affordable manner. So we say that DTF helps promote the digital screen print advantages.
That's really good.
Yeah, like where a shop in the past might have said, no, we can't do that because it has too much color. Now with the DTF, the shop will say, yes, we can definitely do that. And so we've noticed that shops and customers are taking on more full color artwork, which is a benefit to the digital squeegee because when that 50-piece order turns into 1,000 pieces, they call us for the 1,000 pieces.
It doesn't even need to be 1,000. It could be 100.
Yeah, 100.
Because the cost of the DTF transfer sheet oftentimes will be more than what we're charging them to finish that digital screen print.
Yeah.
So they don't have to press. They don't have to order the DTF. They don't have to get that vinyl sticker feeling. A lot of them shift to digital screen printing because even around the 100 quantity range, digital squeegee wins in pricing.
So it sounds like you guys agree that the customers, because we've shown them these digital processes and now they've been spoiled with getting artwork that's more than a couple spot colors, we're seeing it more often every year. And it sounds like DTF has helped increase the demand for digital squeegee. Have you seen over the past handful of years DTF impact your screen or embroidery orders that are outsourced to you?
So we actually enjoy the rise of DTF because it's reduced the style of orders that hit our shop. And so DTF excels on lower quantity orders, and those are the orders that we don't really wanted to take on. And so it's like now we've noticed that with the rise of DTF, the average order volume that hits Garment Decor is much larger. The average quantity is much larger. And when customers contact us, they're contacting us for their bigger projects. And we prefer that style of taking on projects than dealing with a lot of little ones that need a lot of project management. And so we say DTF is nice because it allows independent distributors to focus on the smaller projects, which if it benefits them, we're happy and they get to be profitable and form their business. But when they have larger orders, they'll reach out to us, and that's the capacity that we like to take on. And it's just beneficial. So we like that DTF has taken a portion of the pie because it's taken a portion of the smaller quantity range pie. Devyn, what are your thoughts?
It's the pie that as a screen print shop, that most screen print shops is a part of the pie that we didn't.
It's the burnt end that you didn't even want it to begin with.
And so I like that. I like the rise of DTF. It plays an important role in the decorating industry. And so, like my brother said, there's clear advantages for the DTF, and there's clear advantages for screen printing, and there's clear advantages for the digital squeegee. And the most important thing for any anybody watching this is to understand those clear advantages, the advantages of each process and each service. So when you're talking to a customer, you know exactly what to recommend, why to recommend it, and who to outsource it to when the time comes.
Yeah, every decoration process will have a time and place. Nothing is ever dying. DTG is not dying. It's pivoted. HTV is not dead. It's just pivoted, and it does a very different, it's used differently. But I find it very interesting that, you guys don't even have the ETF equipment, but you see how it's helped your other demand for those. And, kind of brings me to a little point right now, because like screen presses, I don't think manuals are being sold much more at all because of DTF. I mean, I just don't see it. If you had to start today, let's say, do you find the barriers of entry into contract harder than ever? For example, would it be as easy to get Garment Decor to where it is in 14 years if you started it today versus 14 years ago? And based on that, if you were starting today, would you still buy the same equipment you did? Or would you play the other end of the game where you are just focused on selling and you are just working with the Garment Decor? I mean, internet, everything changes over time. Things become harder to get into. So yeah, what's your take on that?
Devyn, you want to go first or you want me to start it?
You start, then I'll answer. So I think now and then 14 years ago, I'd say I'd answer this two ways. I think starting in 2024 is likely similar to starting in 2010, but in 2024, the cost of entry into the business is definitely increased. The cost of equipment, the cost of warehouse space, the cost of
labor,
all things associated with the business has gone up. And so I think the journey would probably be similar, but likely the cost of entry has increased. And so for those just starting out, it probably forces the shops just starting out to have higher capital needs to get into the business, which is not ideal for someone just starting off with low capital. If you're looking to be a factory, just to
yeah. If you look,
yeah.
At the same time, from our perspective, we enjoy the rise of cost because we enjoy things that reduce competition. So even though our costs are increasing from consumables, overhead, utilities, we find that to be okay because it reduces competition, and we're big on trying to find ways to have less competition. So what I'm trying to say is, although it sucks that the costs are going up, it's also another spin on it is that it reduces competition, which is good for the existing businesses in place. Just talking out loud. Why I even mention that, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but even, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I completely think it's the same thing. I think we're going to find more and more established contract decoration shops getting bigger and fewer smaller ones entering the market. You kind of have to already be established and so forth before. It's like having that website back in 1999 before anybody had it versus, and getting that SEO and everything built up before you are trying to play catch up. I mean, who's going to catch custom ink at this point? Nobody. But it's a little different. But I completely on the same page with the Adryan, because that's what I think it is. And
I was just telling someone I think there's going to be a rise of the ones already established likely growing and capturing more market share, while the ones haven't started are going to find it more difficult to start. Mm-hmm. Which leads me to my second point is with all that I know now. And then if I had to start that journey all over again, I think what I would work to focus on is working on being offering professional solutions to businesses in my community, which focuses on design and merchandising programs for them, and then work behind the scenes to build a supply chain to grow my business. And so I'd start my bit if I had to start now. Moving forward, it would be something to the effect of focusing on local business, and the net would be as wide as possible. So it would be like California merchandising solutions, and it would be focusing on design and being an expert at being a professional, and focusing on sales and service first, and developing that, and then also at the same time, the homework would be for someone just starting off is work on interviewing local suppliers. Every business needs a supply chain, and every business needs to have a network of decorators to choose from. And similar to us, who we use for DTF, who we use to buy Blake t-shirts from, who we use to buy Blake consumables from. You have to build your supply chain. And so my advice to someone starting off now is focus on offering professional service, but you wouldn't have to, but it might be difficult to build that factory now, but that factory can come years down the line, because what's most important is just being a professional in the skill set of merchandising. Devyn, what are your thoughts?
So so when we first started, we were just fresh out of high school, 18 at the time. We didn't understand what our skill set was, or we didn't understand where our personality was. And as we grew our business, we realized and learned that our skill set is selling and marketing, and we do a good job at promoting our services, talking with customers, building relationships, and so if I was to start all over again, I would essentially focus on that. I would start off on marketing my business, doing SEO, building a Google presence, getting highly rated reviews from my customers, and I would focus more on the selling of customers. Another thing is, I enjoy graphic design. I would build mock-ups for customers. I would help them with the logos. And so if I was to start today, I would focus on selling and outsourcing everything. Until perhaps maybe it got to the point where maybe it made sense to bring it in-house. But I think for the first 5 years, if I was to start today, I think for the first 5 years, it would be all about marketing my business, building a sales team, and outsourcing all of the printing, the DTF, the embroidery, the buying the blanks. Everything would be outsourced, and it would just be
You would buy the blanks and then outsource it to the facilities.
Correct. I would buy the blanks, outsource it to the facilities, and focus only on the relationship of that customer. So when the customer wants custom T-shirts, they'll think of Devyn and Adryan, and we'll help them with finding what the best products are, what decoration methods they should go with, making sure that the T-shirts get to the event date at that specific time. And I'll focus on that and outsource all of the screen printing and embroidery work.
And just to expand on that really quickly, the reason I think we would lean towards that is because that's what a lot of our customers are doing now. We aren't pulling that concept out of thin air. It's a large portion of our customers are doing exactly that. They're at-home distributors that send us work, and they're able to capture those customers through their design skills, through their knowledge, through their outgoing personality, so we're seeing that right now. We're seeing that right now. A lot of our customers are doing exactly what my brother just pitched, and I think that's kind of where the inspiration comes from.
And I would like to maybe add something to that. I had a customer that walked into my shop the other day. He was a graphic designer, and he was designing logos for customers. And I said, when a company hires you to design their logo, do you present that logo on how it would look on a hat and a T-shirt? And they said, no, I just create the PDF and I send them off the logo. And I asked how come you don't put that logo on a T-shirt and hat to show them what it would look like? He said, oh, I never thought about that. And I said, well, have you ever thought about putting their logo on a T-shirt and a hat after you design it, and then share with them what the cost would be to make that for them. It's like, oh, well, I don't do it. Well, and so his rebuttal was, no, I never thought about that. It's because I don't do t-shirt printing. And so I basically explained him the concept of how you can sell the customer a t-shirt with the logo on it for $12, but then get it for $6 and make yourself $6. And so I basically shared with him that if you're currently designing for companies and you're building logos for them, or maybe you're making the websites, don't stop there. Continue to build the t-shirts, the hats, build them the apparel line. Learn how to outsource that. And so you get a bigger piece of the budget than just designing. You can get the merchandising budget, the design budget, the website budget, and learn how to become like a master outsourcer. Because that in itself is a skill set.
Expand on that too, because Zach was speaking about like the paper products and the banners and all of the other things that fall over sales too. So it goes even beyond selling of the t-shirts and the hats. It's also the paper products, the stationery products, the other assets in the office.
Do you guys know who the largest distributor of promo is? And again, it includes apparel, and so it's Staples. Now, when you think of Staples, do you think t-shirt printing company, embroidery No, you don't. But guess what? They're outsourcing the jobs like everybody else. They have the clientele, and they're trying to squeeze that everything they need, they can get out of their client. And kind of back to what you guys were saying, let's say you want to sell your business. What is somebody really buying? Are they buying the equipment? I mean, that's an asset. But guess what? That asset is just depreciating every single day, and it's a liability until it's paid off. Guess what is also an asset? It's a customer base. And if you build up your customer base, especially if you get them to sign a contract to stay with you, you really are building a stronger asset than a piece of equipment that, again, will eventually be obsolete. Or it just, again, depreciates. It loses its value. So, you production's cool. Watching a squeegee print. I even heard it recently again on that other podcast. Seeing a pallet of shirts at a shop is also cool. But at the end of the day, how much money are you making? And that's what really matters. Last question for you too, because again, you guys are running a very impressive shop. I mean, how many autos do you guys currently have at the shop?
We have 5 autos.
5 autos. And I know you're looking to add a 6th. How, for those out there, you're in California, you're not that far away from, LA and so forth. Do you find that to be a struggle? I mean, because there's a lot of shops. It's like, I can't do this in California. You guys are, and you're doing contract. So any tips there? Again, even with the economy going crazy, costs going up, how are you able to make it work?
Adryan, you want to answer that first, and then I'll go?
Yeah. So for us, how we make it work is, so I think the natural thought behind contract is cheap decoration work, and that's a niche in contract decoration services. Printing cheap is a particular business model. There's this company that has this crazy special that is being promoted online, and it's a really discounted full package contract price on 100 t-shirts. Yep. Okay, and we see that's a business model, and that business model works for them. But there's so much more to contract decoration that meets the naked eye. And so for us, how we make it work is we focus on increasing the cost per impression we produce each day by offering solutions that we're able to work up.
You have bagging and tagging. I saw your very impressive operation there. I mean, if I want to put out a high-end retail product, you have a machine that can bag hundreds of garments an hour. I mean, is that like one of the selling points that you're talking about there?
Not specifically that, because that's also, you're competing because it's just a one color imprint.
I have an example.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say,
Let me say the next step. I had a customer yesterday that said that a contract customer that said, Devyn, I have 1,200 sweatshirts that yesterday was Tuesday, and that I need shipped in 48 hours. And so this customer is not looking for the cheapest contract price. This customer is essentially looking for a value-added service of, can you guarantee to get this order complete in 48 hours? That means ordering of the blanks, printing the fronts, and printing the backs on 1,200 pieces within 48 hours. It's a value-added service.
Yeah, not easy. Not everybody can do that.
And so like my brother was saying, there's different lanes within contract. It's not only about printing the cheapest. It's about, can you guarantee to meet my delivery deadline? And as a result of that, I will offer to pay. Essentially, I will pay more for that. So
customers pay significantly more for time and guarantee, and that's what we focus on. Okay, so there's another customer we're doing I'm looking at the invoice right now. 3,792 items, front, back, sleeve, tag, all of that good stuff in 1.5 weeks. So 7 business days. And they have to get this merchandise. They have to get it by their tour date, or else they're screwed. They're screwed. And so right there, that's another example.
The loss of revenue that this customer will have by missing their deadline exceeds what
the desire
for low price. And so basically that's at Garment Decor, that's what we focus on. We don't focus only on, hey, we're gonna be the cheapest decorator, and
we don't even speak about we offer traditional screen printing services. Our pitch is we offer speed of service. We offer when you need it service. And then another thing we focus on is complex work. A lot of the portfolio work we post online is the most complicated, largest prints. So we say we offer jumbo, full color screen printing work. So we offer a lot of contract decoration services on jumbo, which is minimal competition, and very complex screen printing, which is very minimal competition. So yes, we're offering contract decoration services, but when you're the only one doing that service with no competition, we set our price. And when we set our price, our customer has to sell it beyond that price. And so we think that we have actually very little competition with other shops because we're focusing on things that no one else does. And we're able to establish our own price per unit because there's no competition driving it down. And so just 2 case studies within the last week of speed of service. We also offer contract decoration services on jumbo screen printing and complex screen printing. And if we say, if all of the work we produce on our 5 automatics is focused on speed, complexity, and jumbo, then all of our machines are producing high value and high margin work. And that's the niche we target.
Yeah, so I'd like to clarify. There's different lanes of contract decorating. We aren't competing, and we don't try to compete with Garment Decor is the cheapest one-color print. If you're looking for a one-color print on 500 items, while we can do that day in and day out, it's not what we promote. It's more about, do you need this work? You have an event today. You're an artist. You're going on a tour. You need to sell this merchandise, and if you don't have it, you're going to miss out on thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in revenue. We focus on those specific use cases and try to find those customers that look for that in a supplier in order to kind of power the business.
No, I think this is a great way to conclude this conversation because I think there's a lot of different business models in the industry. It's one of my favorite things. You can go wholesale, you can go contract, you can go retail. There's just so many different ways you can make money. But then within that business model, there's different lanes. And are you trying to compete when it comes to service, price, quality? And I just really like how you guys explained it there. There's different types of contract decorators. Hey, somebody's always going to race to the bottom, while there's other guys who specialize in speed and then things like jumbo and so forth. I don't care what model, your business model you're using, you always have to find that competitive advantage and that core competency that separates you from the pack. Because again, those are your core competencies. That's your competitive advantage of what really separates you. And again, another shop that I've seen be very successful in this realm is Same Day Tees. And I love both you guys, but if I have an order that needs to be shipped to the Midwest, it may make more sense to go with the company that's closer to the Midwest. You guys are in California. Guess what? While your costs are high, there's a lot of people who live out there. And if I need to get the job quicker to them, I typically want it to ship from closer to the customer. So, guys, I mean, you're doing a lot of things right. I was very impressed with your operation, everything you're doing. And it goes even beyond, decorating and so forth. So, hey, everybody out there, the takeaway here is the industry, while the barriers of entry have gone down for some, things like screen printing, embroidery, that entry's gone up. And that's when, again, there's just a lot to learn and so forth. What's more important isn't being the best at decorating. It's actually the best at selling. Because at the end of the day, the only number that matters is what's your profit, what's your income by the end of the year. And what I've seen over the last 15 years, again, especially with COVID, DTF, outsourcing more, doing less yourself is often the better route. There's a lot of great contract decorators out there, like a Garment Decor, who will make your life a lot easier when you're not worried about, again, pulling the squeegee, rethreading, or all of that overhead of the managing all those employees. If you're going to start today, outsource what you can, and that might be 100% of everything, and focus on what matters, because the competition in this industry is only going to keep increasing, because it really is that easy. It's not hard to become a distributor. And if you focus on your own competitive advantage and that added value, that's the big thing I always hear. Nowadays, there was big news this week, S&S and Alpha Broder. S&S essentially acquired Alpha. And then you also have Sanmar. Sanmar has always really been, if you look at a revenue standpoint, Sanmar is much bigger than the other two. And the other two offer more products. And they always saw that over Sanmar. Hey, we offer more items. Well, Sanmar likes to say, well, we offer better service. We don't try to charge you for a credit card fee. We have the PSST. There's just a lot of things. And what Sanmar does outside of actually selling the blank is what has always made them one of the more popular suppliers. It's kind of everything else outside of the physical product. We offer services in our industry, whether you are the one doing the actual decorating or not. At the end of the day, yeah, we're selling a product, but it's the entire service for the order. It's custom. Thanks again, guys, for joining us. I look forward to having you guys on for another episode. Check out garmentdecor.com, right?
Correct.
Garmentdecor.com, but let me say something, Zach. That conclusion that you just said right there was so freaking spot on. Devyn. Maybe you conclude is Zach. Honestly, yeah, I think you nailed it. And,
all right, guys. Well, I'm in Long Beach, California, 2024. We're going to have I'm hosting a seminar on contract decorating and outsourcing, and again, where the industry's going. I look forward to having you guys on that panel to again talk about it, because it's really, this is where the industry is going. And yeah, and things are moving fast. COVID, DTF, those two big things have impacted in the industry more than really anything we've seen in decades. So, all right, guys, check out garmentdecor.com.
Thank you, Zach.